We have some handouts for you. I made an offer to Senator Miller. The offer was that we provide $1 billion to the frontline workers, and that would go to 667,000 workers. The payments would be up to $1,500 per worker, depending upon how many workers apply. Our proposal is to use $250 million from the American Rescue Plan dollars, as we agreed to in June of last year, and that the remaining $750 million would come from the state's general fund. The second component of our offer was on unemployment insurance. We moved $700 million in the direction of the Senate. We were at $1.150 billion before this meeting. At this meeting, we offered $1.85 billion for the Unemployment Insurance Trust Fund. We also offered to change the rates by legislation, which we are entitled to do. So in 2013, Democrats reduced the rates on employers because of the state of the fund, and we would propose to level out the additional assessment and the special assessment for employers in calendar year 2022.
That still doesn't satisfy federal rules that say you have to have surpluses at a certain level, even if you've decided not to assess premiums. How do you get around that?
It does, actually. So the federal government requires that we are above zero to avoid the federal penalty, which is the federal unemployment tax assessment, which would be if the fund in the state of Minnesota is not positive by November 30th of 2022, then there would be a special assessment of FUTA of $21 per employee. But because what the House is proposing and always has been proposing is to repay the entire federal debt plus interest, the House position has always been to avoid any federal penalty or any additional charges on employers related to owing the federal government money.
But I thought they also required surpluses at a formula level, which is why you were at 2.7 before the recession.
No, my understanding is that the federal government does not require that we bring our surplus to the level it was prior to the pandemic.
How would you characterize the response to your offer?
Senator Miller thought he deserved all sorts of credit for getting to the level where he agreed to abide by an earlier agreement. And my hope would be that they'll return tomorrow with a good faith offer in response, and that there would be some movement in our direction. We have moved $700 million in their direction. It is time for the Minnesota Senate to move in the direction of the Minnesota House. We all should be able to work together to provide money for frontline workers.
Is it possible that the reinsurance part could get involved in here with the UI Trust Fund and the frontline worker, or is that a separate issue with the conference committee meeting tonight?
I think we could get all three done this week. I think we could get all three done by tomorrow if there's a good faith willingness to provide give and take on all issues. One of the things that's important is we need the Minnesota Senate to listen to our negotiators in the reinsurance conversation. So for reinsurance, what the state of Minnesota is essentially doing is providing a substantial subsidy to the insurance industry to bring down costs in the individual market. In exchange for that substantial subsidy to health insurers, it's entirely appropriate to ask health insurers to partner with the state of Minnesota to keep costs low for ratepayers on prescription drugs and other benefits. So what we would expect is that the Senate would be able to listen as well as they can talk and to find a true compromise.
$1.4 billion on here, that's to cover the debt. And then $450 million, is that pad?
That's a cushion to make sure that despite what happens with the virus and the ups and downs of this year's economy, that there is really no way the fund would go negative for the remainder of the year.
You said that you plan to meet again tomorrow?
I think there's a hope that we'll meet tomorrow. We have not figured out if we will meet tomorrow, or if we meet tomorrow, what time. I'm going to head to the floor. Is that it?